Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Well, we took a good ass-kicking last week. Let's hope we can get it in gear this week. I'm Jim. He's Dash. This is The Spread. Man, let's hope the Steelers perform as good as we do when we're on the show.
Let's see who's healthy enough to play in this game.
They might be calling you to play defensive back.
You're dead wrong.
You can catch the football in the giant hole in your chest.
I don't know if I have a giant hole in my chest. My chest is messed up.
You're going to with it popping all the time like that. One time it's just going to explode and you're just going to have like a fist-sized hole in there.
That's football, man.
It's brutal.
That's what it does to you.
So what are we looking at? Jamal Charles, you're the fantasy guru. Is he going to be back for this football game?
Well, going in the last week, they said they wanted to give him one more game, but he could have played, I guess. And going into this week, it does look like he's going to play, but I want to see how much he plays still. He's not going to go straight into the feature back role, I don't believe. I think Spencer Ware has played well enough where he is going to get some play at least early, and if Jamal Charles starts to tear it up, he'll start to take over that feature back role again.
Can Kansas City run against Pittsburgh like the Eagles did?
Well, is Ryan Shazier playing? Is Lawrence Timmons healthy?
I don't know. He went to the hospital because they thought he was going to lose his shin.
So he's probably not that healthy then. Well, I don't know, man. If everyone's hurt, I'm guessing they can run against this defense. But
you got no faith in Vince Williams and
it's not that I have no faith in him, but
Kansas
City can run the ball pretty well. So I think they can run the ball like that against Pittsburgh, to tell you the truth. I think Pittsburgh will be probably a little bit better. I know they led over 100 yards total rushing last week. And, Kansas City could end up something around there for sure, especially if Jamal Charles looks good.
Do you think Andy Reid's a better coach than Mike Tomlin?
Well, he's never been to a Super Bowl. Did he go
He took the Eagles. Remember, Donovan McNabb took him the 1 year when
Terrell Owens
broke his ankle.
I thought they lost 4 championships or something, but I guess they did win one of those and lose in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't know, man. They're both solid coaches, I guess. Andy Reid's a good coach. I like him.
He was also 6 foot tall at 13 years old and weighed 400 pounds. That video of him in the punt passing, I'll never. It's the best.
I'm sure everybody remembers that.
I know. Mike Tomlin doesn't have no video like that.
But Kansas City, look, they're 2-0 at home, but they're 0-1 on the road, and they only scored 12 points on the road at the Texans in week 2, and they lost that game 19-12. So they looked a lot better at home than they have on the road. So I hope that a trend keeps going, because we know Pittsburgh looks a lot better at home than they do on the road, at least in the past. This season, week 1, they went into Washington and looked very good both offensively and defensively, and they looked okay in week 2 considering the weather conditions. But last week, man, on the road, they looked completely horrible. But there is some kind of trend going on where Pittsburgh isn't very good in Philadelphia, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever won there, so I don't even know if it's a trend. It's just a black hole like your chest.
Yeah, well, I thought they could overcome that. Obviously, they did not. You have some fascination with my chest, though.
Well, the Chiefs come in only averaging 23 points per game. They're only averaging 332 yards of offense per game, and only 241 of those come through the air. So those things actually work out well for Pittsburgh, considering we allow 332 yards through the air, but only 75 on the ground. So even though Kansas City can run the football better than a lot of teams, now they're only averaging 91 yards a game, which is 21st. But I don't like, and in all these stats, when I say this, it's still so early. It's a small sample size. But you know the Chiefs run the ball well, and you know the Steelers stop the run.
Look, Spencer Ware, 4.9 yards per carry. Jamal Charles coming back this week. The one thing offensively, really, Jeremy Maclin hasn't done too much this season.
My fantasy team knows this.
Really, going into last season, I wasn't really too high on Jeremy Maclin, but he looked really good in his first year in Kansas City, and I kind of expected the same this year, and he's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start, but I expect him to pick that up, and I actually put him in my lineup in daily fantasy. I think he's going to have a pretty good week, probably his best week of the season, to tell you the truth. But You also got to worry about Travis Kelce too. That guy is one of the best tight ends in the game, and he's actually exactly, and he is actually leading this team in receiving. 17 receptions leads the team, 197 yards receiving leads the team, and he is one of 3 guys with a touchdown in the passing game. And actually, that isn't that bad. Wasn't it, what was it, 2 years ago, they went a whole season without a touchdown to a receiver?
To a wide receiver, yeah.
Yeah, so there are 2 receivers here that already have touchdowns.
Beast mode for Kansas City.
Not bad. Plus, like you said, their star running back is coming back this week, and I do expect him to eventually get back to that feature back role and be a beast like he has been for many years now.
I think this is going to be a tough game. I know Alex Smith hasn't fared too well against Pittsburgh. I know he beat the hell out of Pitt whenever he played him in college, but this is the Steelers, not the pathetic Panthers. So I think their defense will be okay. He's getting a little older now, so he can still get out on the edge and get you a first down if he needs to, but he doesn't quite have the same wheels that he did when he first came into the league, so I don't expect to see him rip off no 30-plus yard runs on Pittsburgh unless they completely blow something. But I am afraid of the tight ends over the middle, especially if Lawrence Timmons and Ryan Shazier don't play. Then you seriously have to rely on Vince Williams to be your best middle linebacker when your number 1 outside linebacker and Bud Dupree's already out. So you have Moats starting over there. And then you have Harrison and Jones on the other side. And for some reason, they have Harrison dropping into coverage every freaking week, or all game every week. So none of this is really making sense to me.
Well, Alex Smith, yeah, they usually do a good job against him, but it's because they get pressure on him, and they really haven't got the pressure that they needed so far, at least this past week. I mean, they got some pressure, but they really haven't got to the quarterback necessarily. And Alex Smith, if you give him some time, man, he doesn't make many mistakes, so he could have a good game here. And like I said, bringing back your starting running back is going to help you as well in the run game. But you can't forget, too, Le'Veon Bell was back, and I think that is key. Because last week there was a lot of injuries. There was nothing going on offensively. Le'Veon Bell coming back is going to be a huge boost for Big Ben.
Especially
and it's going to help
the passing game.
Yeah, it's going to help out the passing game so much. Really, the run game has been great until this past week, but I don't really think Le'Veon Bell would have done much last week in the run game.
They couldn't block for anybody last week.
Yeah, so, I mean, the offensive line got to step it up this week. It actually started week 1. They looked fantastic. The offensive line looked beast. Week 2, they were very good. They just took a small step back, and then last week they just fell apart. So it's time to turn that around, because if they take another step back, somebody's going to get killed in this game.
Can the Steelers' offense explode like they want to and carry this team if the defense is as beat up as it looks like it's going to be?
I mean, they can. Will they? I don't know. This is going to be a tough game to do that. If Kansas City goes out there and puts up 28, 30 points, I mean, they got a good enough defense. They got Derek Johnson out there, obviously. Eric Berry's another one. They got some playmakers on this defense.
Ali, I'm afraid of him coming off the edge.
And you can't forget Marcus Peters as well. So this is a very good defense. So I don't think this is the week for it. Now, again, Pittsburgh plays better at home, but you can't just expect them to go out there and put up 30 points on any defense no matter what. I mean, there are defenses out there that can stop teams from doing that 99% of the time. And I think Kansas City's that type of defense. So they can, over the course of a season, if they get, first of all, they got to get healthy. Le'Veon Bell coming back is going to be a huge help with that. But with the way the receiving core looks right now, the defense they're going up against, I wouldn't trust that. Definitely right now, at least. They got to get healthy, and it's not going to be every week that the Steelers can put up 30 points, I don't believe, especially how they looked last week. I mean, Philadelphia, they're not a terrible team or anything by any means. They're 3-0, but it wasn't like their defense is a top 3 defense or anything, and they couldn't get anything going against them.
Should the Steelers be bringing more in the pass rush? Should they be bringing 5 or 6 when they need to? Or are they doing the right thing, just trying to get more pressure with 3 or 4 and dropping enough people in coverage? Because I don't know. I'm not saying never blitz, and I'm not saying always blitz. You got to find that right mixture. But I'm worried that if we do blitz, we're going to expose an already exposed defensive backfield that's struggling. I just read an article before we went on the air that said you might see a lot of snaps for Justin Gilbert this week because they don't know what to do about that backfield. And if Golden's hurt, you're going to see Davis have to move back to safety and not be able to play that nickel back.
Well, I guess it depends on the matchup, man. Like we said, they didn't really need to do it in the first 2 weeks, but here we wanted them to get to Carson Wentz. When you're going up against a rookie quarterback, you want to get in his face, definitely. And Alex Smith is a guy you want to get to, too, because if you give him time, this is a guy that doesn't make mistakes. So, I mean, if he has all day back there, he's going to pick apart this defense. So you definitely have to blitz more than they have so far. I mean, it's been 3 or 4 all game through the first 3 games of the season pretty much. And, I mean, the thing about this defense last season, yeah, they gave up a ton of passing yards. What they let up, 20-some points per game, low 20s?
20.4 or something like that.
And they led the team, or they were, third in the league in sacks as well. So
and close to top 5 in turnovers last year.
That was why you weren't letting up many points. Yeah, of course, the turnovers as well. But, again, if you're getting to the quarterback, that's forcing more turnovers as well. So I really think the change in game plan so far is going to hurt Pittsburgh. I mean, look, last week, man, there wasn't a receiver that did anything against this defense, really. 33 yards out of Green Beckham. We know they're not that good versus tight ends. I think Selleck had 60 yards. It was the running back, again, that had over 100 yards receiving. Get to the quarterback.
Can they get to the quarterback with all the injuries is the question.
That's the big problem right now. They could have done it in week 2 if they tried. They really didn't need to because Andy Dalton didn't want to try to go downfield and he was just trying those short passes, so they didn't want to force the issue there. But again, they needed to last week. Was it because Ryan Shazier came out of the game that they decided they weren't going to do anything like that? I have to doubt that. I mean, Carson Wentz was picking them apart and they decided not to change anything. I mean, that was a big reason why they just lost it in the end. What was it, 21 points in the third quarter? They didn't seem to go into halftime and change their game plan.
I'm a fan of Arthur Moats, but I'm not a fan of him being our starting outside linebacker. I liked Moats in a rotation. I thought he was a great change of pace guy. He gives you a good pass rush. I just don't think he has what it takes to be that every down outside linebacker and get to the quarterback. And then you move to the middle and both guys are hurt. And then you move to the other side and you got a 38-year-old James Harrison and Jarvis Jones who has
somebody else got hurt.
5 sacks for his whole career.
Who was our first round pick?
This year.
Yeah.
Artie Burns.
Oh, maybe it was second round pick. Who was
Sean Davis.
Yeah, Sean Davis. He got hurt as well.
He's expected to play
back.
from what I heard this morning. Now, obviously, that could all change because I think Golden is hurt worse.
He's hurt as well, yes.
So I think Golden's definitely not going to play, and Davis will have to play safety. Again, this is Tuesday when we're recording this, so a lot of things could change. I listened to the Mike Tomlin press conference today when I was on break at work, and it was just a bunch of cliche mumbo-jumbo. Really didn't say anything important. He never really does. They questioned him about why they left all the players on the field last week after they were getting blown out, but he just said, we play to win the game, and it kind of surprised me because they had no chance. That's
kind of stupid. Yeah, when you have no chance to win it doesn't make sense, but I tell you what, when I was a player, I wanted to be in there no matter what. I didn't really care. I felt like we had to get something going to feel a little bit better, and that could have been part of it. You know, go score a touchdown in the end of the game and just feel a little bit better about yourself heading into this week. And it actually backfired. They should feel worse about themselves.
Will Ben Roethlisberger be able to overcome a bad game and really shine because they're going to need it? I mean, he's going to have to put up 300 yards for this team to win the next couple weeks until the defense can get healthy again.
Well, I think he can do it. Look, he hasn't been good in Philadelphia. We already mentioned that. Coming back home where he's always been good. But, again, a good defense like we mentioned, Marcus Peters, Eric Berry. This is a good secondary.
Peters the coach choker?
Yes, he was.
I love that dude.
Believe it. He should choke Todd Haley.
I was thinking the same thing.
But anyways, so, yeah, I think Big Ben can do it. But, I mean, the receivers got to help him out as well. If Marcus Wheaton's going out there and dropping every pass thrown to him and it hits him in his chest, I mean, what else are you going to do?
He dropped a football like a smart guy drops a fat girl at a buffet, man. He was out.
I mean,
So I don't even
obviously, Le'Veon Bell coming back is going to help out. You can throw the ball him 10 times. You can throw Antonio Brown the ball 10 times. So there's 20 targets at minimum right there. But Eli Rogers is out, so you're going to have to count on Marcus Wheaton in the slot more. And I don't know if I'm ready to trust it. I'm ready to give him another chance. But I never liked him on the field to begin with. I liked Eli Rogers more, so that hurts. Sammy Coates, I mean, he's looked good so far. He's only going to have his 1 or 2 plays per game, though, so it's not like you're going to be throwing this guy the ball 10 times or anything.
What about the road dog, Jesse James?
I like what I see. It's not like he drops any passes or anything. When he's thrown the ball, he catches it. I did see when
That's usually what you're supposed to do.
When they got into the red zone, I seen they did bring Grimble in a few times, so maybe they're thinking about him as more the red zone target type guy, and Jesse James is the guy that Ben can just trust as a check down going down the field. I'm not sure how that's going to work out or anything, but I like Jesse James, man. I have no problem with him. So last week you said Big Ben under 300 and something. What'd I say? 300 yards, 325, something like that. You said under, and he definitely went under, and he did not look good. I mean, he barely completed half his passes, and the receiving core didn't help him out, obviously. You said this week he needs over 300 to beat this defense. Is he going to do it? Over or under 300?
I'll give him over 300. I think he's going to have a big game. This could be one of those Big Ben highlight games at home, and I'm not saying that I think we're going to blow them out, because I think Alex Smith could probably have a similar game with how beat up and how bad our defense has played against the pass. But I think Ben goes over 300.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Andy Dalton looked good against Pittsburgh. Carson Wentz looked great against Pittsburgh last week. So Alex Smith,
if you're a quarterback, play our defense.
Well, yeah, and receivers too, really tight ends.
If you're looking for a fantasy quarterback, put in Alex Smith, because that's what I did.
The run game looked terrible last week, despite how they looked through the first 2 weeks of the season. Le'Veon Bell coming back this week. Is the offensive line going to be able to block enough? Is he going to be, I'm not even going to say 100, over or under 75 yards rushing from Le'Veon Bell?
I'm going to give him over 75. Maybe not way over, probably somewhere around 90. I think he's going to contribute in the passing game a little bit more. I think you're going to see Roethlisberger check the ball down to him a lot, especially if the offensive line struggles in pass protection. Now, I don't expect them to struggle as much as they did last week against Philly. I don't know what it was that Philly was doing. I mean, it really looked like they were just overmatched. I mean, they just physically weren't able to hold up with the defensive line of the Eagles. I don't think Kansas City's D-line, they don't pressure the same way. They run a similar style to the Steelers where they want to get pressure with their linebackers. So I don't think the D-line's going to dominate physically like they did. And I think that really bodes well for the Steelers. And I think that gives Le'Veon a chance to get out onto the edge. And, I mean, he could make some plays in the run game. Being that it's his first game back, I think it'll be easier for him in the passing game.
Will D'Angelo Williams have over or under 6.5 carries?
Under.
Tomlin
already said Le'Veon's the number one back, and we're going to ride him.
Man.
That's it. That's what he does, dude. Tomlin takes his number one back and runs him into the ground. Look at Willie Parker. He said when he became the coach, we're going to run him till the wheels fall off. What happened? They ran him till the friggin' wheels fall off.
I think last season I did hear when Le'Veon Bell was healthy that he out-touched D'Angelo Williams 8-1 on the ground.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Okay, last one. Marcus Wheaton, over or under 6 drops?
Over. No, I'm kidding. Under. I expect to see Wheaton get back to it. Like you said earlier, or it might have been in the last the recap for the Eagles. He's not going to drop that many passes. That's the first real game action he's seen since last season. I don't even know if he played in the preseason at all, but even if you do, it doesn't count anyway. So, yeah, it really hurt us. It was a bad game. He had some big drops that hurt that offense, but I don't expect to see that happen. Wheaton's he's actually a solid-handed guy. He's just not an explosive guy, unless he's playing the Seahawks.
So what's your key to victory then?
You got to dominate on the offensive and defensive line. I mean, if these linebackers are going to be hurt, Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, and Hargrave, and even McCullers has got to come in. They got to get pressure on the quarterback just by them. They got to help pick up these linebackers a little bit. And on the offensive side of the football, the whole reason the offense struggled last week is because the offensive line couldn't pass block or run block. If you can't do either, your offense isn't going to score. It's just how it goes. If the quarterback has less than 3 seconds to throw it and the running back can't even get back to the line of scrimmage, you're just not going to go anywhere. That's what happened to Pittsburgh last week. We need to be better in the trenches. I know it's an old school philosophy, but if you win in the trenches, you're probably going to win the football game.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it goes with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every time I watch them, it seems like, definitely. I think another thing that has to go down in this game is Big Ben got to take care of the ball. The Kansas City Chiefs have forced 8 interceptions and 2 fumbles already. Recovered 2 fumbles
Peters
already.
That dude's
well,
got
he has
mad
4
hands.
picks. That's
Already?
another thing. Yeah. Listen, Antonio Brown, really, even last week, he was kind of shut down for a while until the game was over, and then they just kept getting him the ball. And in week 2, he really didn't do much. Marcus Peters can go out there and do the same thing. So Marcus Peters will take a ball to the house, definitely. So Big Ben got to be mistake-free in his game and find some other receivers. I know Eli Rogers is out. Marcus Wheaton got to step up for him. He's going to have to use more than Antonio Brown in this game. But, yes, definitely the run game has to give him something as well, or it's going to be even harder for Big Ben. But I think Big Ben got to stay mistake-free. And defensively, I usually don't make this my key to victory defensively because usually they do stop the run, but we seen last week when you don't stop the run, your defense looks horrible because you already have some trouble with the pass, but that's okay if you can stop the run. If you can't stop the run, you're beat. So
yeah, you can't give up 450 yards or whatever they had of offense.
With Jamal Charles coming back, you got Ware and Charles and Charkandrick West gets a couple carries here and there as well. So you have to go out there and stop these guys. And watch out for the running back in the passing game as well. I mean, we've seen it the past 2 weeks. What is it, 240 yards almost out of 2 running backs in the passing game over the past 2 weeks. Jamal Charles can get it done in the passing game as well.
You think Charkandrick West's nickname is the after-school special? Because they play a lot of them on the CW?
Nice.
Burn.
Burn him. He might as well just retire. Hang him up, buddy. Jim just got you.
I'm on fire today.
So, what's your prediction then?
A shootout. I know Kansas City's defense is better than the Steelers, maybe I'll say right now. I mean, they're playing better at least.
Everything's probably better than the Steelers.
They're definitely healthier than the Steelers' defense, but I don't know. I think that Roethlisberger's just going to have one of those games, and I think he's going to put some points on the board. But I also think that Alex Smith is going to have some good matchups with Travis Kelce running around against 2 backup linebackers and a backup safety and a rookie safety and a dude from Cleveland who they didn't even want, and Willie Gay and Mike Mitchell, the studio gangster. I mean, it's just not looking good personnel-wise for the Steelers this week. I'm not hating, just saying, but it's going to create some matchup problems. I could see Kelce having the biggest day out of any of the pass catchers there. I don't expect to get beat deep. That's really the one thing the Steelers defense has done a good job of, and it's mostly because we're keeping 2 deep safeties, so it's not like we're, playing some stellar type of defense or whatever. They're playing that base cover 2 with the 2 deep safeties, keeping everything in front of them. They just don't know how to tackle. So they get a long catch and runs. They're just not necessarily getting beat over the top. So don't expect to see Macklin, have too much success deep unless he catches it 1 yard in front of the line of scrimmage and then runs it 99 yards down the field.
Like I was saying, did you give a prediction?
The score, I gave a prediction. I didn't give my score. My score, 33-31 Pittsburgh. I hesitate to say it.
4th time in a row you picked Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think I got to do the same thing. That sucks. I should have just picked them to lose last week by 31 points. But, I mean, again, coming back home.
If they were at Kansas City, I'd definitely pick Kansas City.
Me too. Definitely. But Kansas City, again, they went to Houston, lost 19-12. I kind of disagree with you. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring, though. I think I mean, Kansas City does have a shot to put up some points in this game, I guess. I think the defense is going to find a way to
Kelsey's
step
gonna
up
get
somewhat.
3 touchdowns.
But I don't see our offense going out there and just smoking this defense by any means. So I'm going to go a little bit lower at least and say 23-21.
Both on a 2-point victory with a 3 and a 1. Get that block pull, baby. Fans, that's all we got. Any questions, comments, predictions, whatever you have for us, hit us up on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Hit me up on Twitter at betjimthewin. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/betthespread. We forgot to mention that this is a Sunday night primetime game.
And your last segment in PA.
Yeah, the last segment I'm ever going to record in PA because it's off to West Virginia on Saturday. But Roethlisberger and Tomlin shine on primetime. If we had Easy in here, he'd be yelling it. Shine! Look for a victory.
Easy just cracked the door and said 24-20 Steelers.
Dude's in studio and he doesn't even come in. What's he doing? Drinking?
I kind of agree with him. I said 23-21. I'm feeling it. Nice prediction.